guys, oh god. Goodness gracious, I need a table in here. Hi, I'm brought to you by my bathroom in the Airbnb I'm staying in for the summer. Because it has the best lighting, to be honest. I'm staying in someone's like basement, so there's not really any lighting, good lighting, natural lighting. So here we are. I read Fourth Wing, and I have some thoughts to share on it. I got my like little notebook, my phone, my chai. I got a bunch of crunch up, or a bunch of crunch here, and let's just get right into it. Oh, that's an ice cube. Hold up. I know this is like the big book that everyone has been raving about. I got this book, I think, like the first week it was released, and it wasn't even on purpose. I went to the bookstore one day with my friend because she was visiting, and I'm sorry, I saw the cover and I was like, what is this? It was shiny. It had this cool like medallion thing on it. There's a dragon. The pages are painted black with silhouettes of dragons, and I was like, shut the up. What is this about? I will be the girl who judges a book by its cover till the day I die. I'm sorry, not sorry. I looked on the inside. There's a map. Not only one. There's two. So I was like, okay, this shit's gotta be good. Honestly, I didn't even read the full synopsis. I just read what's on the back, and it's like a little excerpt, and it was like dragons and some sort of school, and I was like, sign me the f up. I just finished it the other day, and I have some notes on it. Let's get right into it. The plot. Fourth Wing is honestly low-key might be easier just to read the synopsis instead of trying to explain it, but we're gonna attempt it anyways. So Fourth Wing follows this girl, Violet Sorndale, who she is 20 years old. I don't remember learning that. Off to a great start. There is a kingdom of Navarre, and Navarre is a very like militaristic society. They've been battling their neighboring kingdom for the past like 6 millennia, and in this military like society there are like 3 major sectors to the military. You have your riders, who are kind of like the special forces of the military, and those are the people who ride dragons. Then you have the infantry, and then you have the scribes, who record like the history of the country, all the battles, and make the maps and everything. Like they are like the knowledge seekers and keepers. Oh, there's also the healing quadrant. Forgot. Violet Sorndale, she's 20 years old, and her mom is this high-ranking general. Her dad was a scribe, and he unfortunately died recently, but she spent most of her life training to be a scribe, and then literally like the day you like volunteer to go into your sector or whatever, you like, is it a conscription? Subscription? Not subscription. What, like, I don't know. You join the military. Her mom is like insisting that like, you're not gonna be a scribe anymore. You are going to be a writer, and you have no say in the matter. So Violet, she's always been considered very fragile for some reason. She spent a lot of time with healers because she was constantly like in pain, or like had broken something or twisted something, and that's a big thing that they bring up a lot. They don't really explain why though, so it's important, but like how important is it if you're not going to explain it, right? Violet is now having to join the writers, and when you become a writer you have to survive school to become a writer. It's a 3-year war college, and there are plenty of opportunities to die.
So many dumb ways to die.
Even before you even make it into the school. So your first task is you have to cross the parapet, and the parapet is just this giant bridge that's up in the air. It's very slim, it's windy, there's no railing, there's like an abyss below. So like that's your first challenge, is you have to cross the parapet to get into the school, and if you don't, you obviously you fall and you die. Like, and she's like very determined. She's like, if I fall, I fall, but I'm gonna do my best to try and make it across. I don't want to be here, but like, you know what, if I'm having to do this, like fine, we're gonna do it. And when she's crossing the parapet, you encounter Zayden, who is a character. He is the wing leader, so he runs all of 4th Wing, and from the get-go they like hate each other because of their reputations.
Big reputation.
Here's the tea, guy. Here's the tea. They hate each other because of their parents. Zayden hates Violet because she's a Sorrengail, and Mrs. Sorrengail executed Zayden's dad because Zayden's dad was part of this rebellion group, and his dad was the leader of it. All the parents who were part of the rebellion got executed, and all their kids were able to live, but they were forced to join the Riders Quadrant. But he hates Mrs. Sorrengail, therefore he hates Violet Sorrengail. But on the flip side, Violet hates Zayden because Zayden's dad killed her brother. So he like threatens to kill her, like from the get-go. He's like, you're dead. You're dead meat. You better run. Inside she's like, oh, okay, that's so cool. Like, I'm gonna die. Awesome. Once she crosses the parapet, she finds her friend Dane, who is her childhood best friend. He is her squad leader, and he's just trying to watch out for her. So once you are in the school, you do a lot of like combat training, and you learn about like strategy, like dragons and things, and you have to make it to what is called threshing to be able to be bonded to a dragon. And when you make it to threshing, it's a bit of a like Hunger Games scenario where everyone's like put into this field, and riders can like kill other riders only if you're like a first tier, right? It's confusing. Like, some riders will go after other riders if there's people in the way, but ultimately like it's the dragon that picks their rider. And there is a dragon called Rant, who is like one of the best, one of the most powerful dragons out there, and he has not bonded in many years. He's been very secluded because his last rider died, and he ends up deciding to bond with Violet, and there's a whole lot of stuff that happens in between there too. When you're a rider, once you're bonded to a dragon, you get superpowers basically. The dragon can like channel through you their powers and their energy, but the power is like different dependent on the person, and it kind of like reflects your inner, I don't know, like inner self, I guess. Once you like bond to a dragon, you can also like talk to them like telepathically. And then there's like a bigger underlying plot to this book that you don't find out until like the last 10 or so chapters that is going to follow like the rest of the series. There's a lot going on in this book, and it's honestly kind of small, so it's amazing that Rebecca is able to get through all of this. But that's the plot. The characters, somehow Rebecca found a way to make the characters lovable and relatable, but like it could be done so much better. Violet and her little squadron actually end up becoming very close-knit. There's this thing where it's like you really shouldn't trust anyone you encounter until you make it to at least your 2nd year, because like so many people are gonna die or they're gonna betray you the next day. So it's like really advised against. They all end up being friends, and I love it. It reminds me like that random like English or math class you had in like middle school. Everyone in that class was just like kind of just like thick as thieves and was just vibing, and it was awesome. Like, it kind of gave me those vibes, and I love it. Off the top of my head, people I can remember, there is Rihanna, and she is the girl that Violet met at Parapet, and they helped out, and because of that they're like, let's be best friends. They're like, we're not supposed to trust anyone, but I'm gonna trust you and you're gonna trust me. Like, if nothing else, we have our one person we can count on. There's Jack. During Parapet, he was like right behind her. This man is out for blood. No reason. This man is just like, Sorrengail, you're dead meat. And we never find out why. Like, there's never a legit reason why, and that really bothers me. There's Dane, who's like their squad leader, and he is a 2nd year, her childhood best friend. He's kind of like the boy next door. He is very protective of Violet, a little too much so. He follows the rules, also a little too much so, and he's, yeah. This is all I really have to say on him. There is Imogen, who is also a kid of the, I was gonna say Renaissance, what was it? Rebellion. So all the kids of the Rebellion are called relic kids because they were all like branded to have like a relic so that people could easily identify them as like, don't trust them. Any relic kid is a badass because they've had to learn to like survive and thrive in a world that like absolutely hates their guts and wants them all dead. And all the relic kids honestly have like bonded together, like they're their own little gang, if you will. But Imogen is like a total badass on the sparring mats. She ends up helping Violet on like building strength and just becoming a better fighter. Same with Rhiannon, but we're just gonna call her Rhea. We're gonna call her Rhea. And then there's Liam, who is also another relic kid, and he's like the best in their class. He's the fastest, the best fighter, like bros got it together. And he isn't a ladies' man, but like he's very flirtatious. But he's also like protective and he's loyal. Great character. And then there's Xaden, of course. He's also like the main relic kid. He's the oldest of the relic kids. Xaden is like listen, I have a love-hate relationship with Xaden, okay? This man is, he's a third year. That's the only way you can be a wing leader is if you're a third year. So he's like 23, I guess. He is very stoic, very mysterious. He's a badass and a hard ass. He's like the tough love kind of, he's like Damon Salvatore coded, or like 4 coded, you know, like. And then we have Redok, who is my personal fave, and I'm always a sucker for the class clown character, and that's exactly what he is. He's sassy, he's sarcastic, he's funny, love him, he's the best. He's kind of like Style Stilinski coded, or like, what's another good character? So the character I have in mind, probably no one has thought of or knows about. So I watched, what is it, that like National Treasure TV show that they did on Disney Plus, and there's like this best friend, and like I envisioned him, and they have again like a similar personality, like very lighthearted, fun, doesn't take things too seriously, very sassy, like that whole thing going on. And then there's like some other people in their squad, but those are the ones who, spoiler, make it to the end of the year. I will say that the characters are unfortunately very two-dimensional. There's a lot to unpack in this plot, and that didn't leave a lot of room for Rebecca to like really dive in to all the different characters. The surface level stuff is there, the bare minimum to get people to like or relate to the character is there, but anything deeper, it's not really there. It's really instrumental to the writing to like fully understand your main character, because it's your main character. She would be such a better character if there was more to her than just, I am a weak girl, but I'm gonna overcome this and become really strong and badass. Like, good, awesome, great, but like, what else is there? Rebecca makes it such a point to be like, I'm weak, and she was, I think she was born with this, but she has like silver tipped hair, and it means something, but you never find out what it means. But it somehow correlates to her being a Sorrengail and just being like the weakest link of the family, but you don't find out why. She goes to the healers. It's like this whole thing, but it's like, why are you weak? Like, other than just like physically just like being weak and having this like weird chronic pain that we don't know anything about, like what is the reasoning? Like, what was the reason? What was the reason? What was the reason? I just like I'm getting heated now. So and I was very pissed about this. Listen, there's some character deaths. Some are important characters, some are not important characters. One of the deaths in particular, Rebecca. I've got beef with you for that. How dare you? If you don't know where this is going, read the book. If you do know where this is going, read the book. For that one death scene, read the book. The love interests, Dane, Xaden.
Choose your character.
So yeah, the boy from next door, childhood best friend, or the bad boy who is like willing to destroy the world to protect you. Everyone's gonna lean toward the bad boy, and usually I'm not a fan for the bad boy. I usually am a fan for the boy next door, but I absolutely hate Dane. Dane is so too dimensional. It pisses me off. Like, when I tell you this man is overprotective, it's like this man has one personality trait, and that personality trait is, Violet, you need to stay safe because she's so weak. Dane's like, I need you to live. Please run away to the scribes because you're not gonna make it. And then Violet's like, why don't you believe in me? And he's like, no, it's not that I don't believe in you. She's like, no. It's like, you don't believe in me. You were looking out for me and you're protecting me. That's great, but like, I can do this and I'm trying to do this. Okay, so leave me the alone. And he's just like, I just want you to be safe. I'm just trying to protect you. That's it. He also hates Xaden. So like, that's it. That's all Dane says and does. I hate it so much. So I love the boy next door trope. That is my go-to, but damn, it sucks in this book. Like, you really are rooting for the bad boy in this book. Xaden has like a bit more of a personality. Hold up. Oh my god. So then Xaden and Violet, they're very Feyre and Rhys coded, and I love it and hate it, to be honest, because I read ACOTAR. I read ACOTAR and I hated it. And their relationship is very much like the love to hate trope, or the enemies to lover trope, depending on how you see it, because they're out for each other's neck, right? But that quickly wears off. So in my head, it's more of like a hate to love. They're also like, there's also, okay, kind of a spoiler, but not really, but it's a fated mage trope. And I hate that trope so much. So much. It's a fantasy romance, by the way. So like, the smut in it is also very ACOTAR feeling, and that's just, it's not for me. Not for me. Lightning strikes quite literally every time Violet, which I think is just ridiculously cringe. It's just a little added tidbit. Writing could be better. There is room for improvement. First of all, Fourth Wing is written from, first person point of view from one character. I don't love about it, but that's okay. So I would just like to clarify one thing that bothered me about this writing, and I didn't even notice it till after the fact, but at the beginning of the book, before the story even starts, there's like a note saying that this book has been transcribed by the scribe, whatever her name is. And I read this the first time through, but I just like completely ignored it because I was like, okay, whatever. But going back, I'm like, that's so interesting, and that makes me hate this writing even more, because this story is supposed to be written by someone who isn't Violet. So how is this girl able to write everything exactly as how it happened for Violet, unless Violet can somehow like talk telepathically with this chick? It doesn't make sense to me. It makes the first person view feel even worse of a choice because someone else is transcribing it. Like, I feel like in that sense, then it should have been written from like a third person perspective. Like, it would have made more sense. And also, to go with that, the last chapter of this book is from Xaden's point of view, and that's something I really enjoyed. I think this book would have been or made more sense if it was written from a third person perspective, or it was first person but with dual perspectives. I think dual perspectives would also give us a lot more insight and character development. Those are just my additional thoughts on top of this half-hour-long video that already exists. So there you go. The inner monologue is rough. It's kind of written like a diary. It feels like how the modern person talks and thinks, if that makes sense. Let me see if I can find like an excerpt real quick, because, oh, okay, here we go. A couple hours later, I ripped my brush through my hair in the privacy of my room, still fully dressed down on my boots and italicized and armor. I still can't believe I made an ass of myself in front of my entire squad simply because Zayden decided to train shirtless. God. I really need to get laid.
Bruh. Side eye.
I pause mid-brushstroke when a rush of energy races down my spine, dissipating in a heartbeat. Well, that's ... weird. Maybe it's ... italicized no. It felt completely different when Andara stopped time through me. That was a full body flood that expanded through my fingers and toes. Then ... left afterward. Like, Rebecca, there's a little too many ellipses that you use in this. I'm going to have an audience for my death.
Criminal offensive side eye.
Fantastic. So much for hope. There's so much more of just like short, sweet sentences that are just like too literal of like, oh my god, that's how I would think, which makes the character relatable, but it's also like, bruh, this writing is like not it, you know? It's just like kind of throws off the flow. Her writing's inconsistent. How about that? It feels very TV scripty. While reading it, I could totally envision this as a TV show. It would slay as a TV show, I think, because she gets straight to the point. There's a lot of action, but because of that, it's like very much lacking the speciality of traditional fantasy writing. And to go along with that, there's not a lot of world building. Like, outside the walls of the academy, you don't really know what's going on in this kingdom. There also, I think, needs to be more exposition written. Why Violet is considered weak. Violet training to be a scribe her whole life up until the day of parapet, her dynamic with her parents, her siblings, or her dynamic with Dane for that matter, honestly, her grieving her brother's death. And they also make it this huge thing at the beginning that right before she does parapet, her older sister Mira like empties out her pack of like all this unnecessary stuff she doesn't need, and one of them is a book of like fables and tales that Violet loved to read growing up, and she's like, this is so important to me, I love it so much, but that's the only time it's ever referenced until like the end of the book, where it's brought up until like the underlying plot for the whole series. Like, that should have been expanded upon and explained more if it's gonna be so important. I know I'm being very analytical of this book and like kind of nitpicky, but I did give it 4 stars because even though this book is lacking in many areas, I still had a lot of fun reading it. And is the plot phenomenal? No. Are the characters phenomenal? No. But am I going to finish out the series and see how this plays out? 100%. And apparently it's supposed to be a 5-book series. So this is so niche. One of the reasons I love this book is because the Academy reminds me a lot of Dinotopia, which, hear me out, okay? If you've seen Dinotopia, a lot of people have not. It has a Wentworth Miller, is that his last name? This guy. It's amazing, by the way, but that's besides the point. In Dinotopia, it's this world where people live amongst dinosaurs. In Dinotopia, they have what's called the Skybacks, and the Skybacks are like the military of the air in Dinotopia, and so they reside in this like Grand Canyon-esque area. It's very windy, it's very high up, high stakes, like you're living on the edge of a cliff, literally. One of the main characters wants to become a Skyback, and so to join it, you have to test like your strength and bravery and all this stuff. You have to like jump over this giant gap in the canyon to like prove your worth. Reference to the parapet, right? And then you have to go through all this training, like writing, you do like academic classes as well, similar to this academy, right? And what happens, you get bonded to a Skyback, which is like, it's basically like a pterodactyl, but not, because in this world there's like carnivorous pterodactyls and then there's like not carnivorous pterodactyls or whatever. And that also happens in this book. You get bonded to a dragon and the dragon chooses you, you don't choose the dragon. I'm like geeking out over this, I love it so much. There's a lot of parallels between Fourth Wing and just like the way their academy set up and the Skybags in Dinotopia. So that was like a main reason I really loved this book, and one of the main reasons why I want to keep reading it. That's what kind of like kept me connected and kind of like in the book, is I kept envisioning that movie, even though it's dinosaurs and not dragons, but it's like the same thing, right? It's whatever. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. Overall, the book was good. It's not great, and there's a lot of potential for it to be really good. I really do hope that it gets better from here and that there's more explanation about the characters and their background and their history, and there's more description into their world and how it works. And apparently the next book is supposed to come out in November. It's a very quick turnaround, which makes me nervous, but that's okay. Overall rating. I give the overall book 4 out of 5 stars, but let's be honest, it's probably more like 3.5, 3.75, probably more around there, because plot I give a 4 out of 5. I do wish that the overlying plot to the series was brought in sooner rather than later, because you go the majority of the book being like, okay, so this is following her first year at school, but like what's the rest of this supposed to be like? Because obviously there's a war going on, so like how is this going to connect into that? Characters, 3 out of 5. And writing I gave a 3 out of 5. Romance, if I'm gonna grade romance, it's probably like a 2.5, 3 out of 5. So how does that average out? I don't know. I don't feel like doing the math, but it'll be right here. So that brings us to the end of the video. Like, subscribe. If you want to read the book, read the book. If you don't want to, don't. Do what you want. I don't care. Now I'm in like a big like dragon mood, so I will be watching How to Train Your Dragon, all of them. I will be listening to that soundtrack also on repeat. Yeah, I think that covers it. I think that covers it. Oh, perfect. And the low battery light came on for a 3rd time, so this is actually the perfect time to finish. But anyways, have a wonderful day, everyone, and I will see you in the next book review.